Hello, world, and welcome to our podcast where two pals with different viewpoints and thoughts who really don't know much of anything, flying by the seat of their pants, discuss news, politics, conspiracy theories, and more. One's a genius, the other's an idiot. Are they both idiots?
Or are they both geniuses?
You be the judge. Now, live from beautiful Central Florida, welcome to Political No Brainer. Your hosts on your right and always right. It's me, Zach. And to your left and never right, it's Coach Trippy. What's up, Tripperoo?
What's going on? We got a great guest tonight. How you
We
doing,
do,
Zach?
we do. We have Coach, as they like to call him, Darryl Blackall. He comes live. He is the Chief Operations Officer for Workforce Academy. I almost said Elite because that's where you're near and dear to my heart, where I know you're from.
Absolutely, absolutely.
But Daryl's been an educator for 20 years, and I think he worked with my wife at least 10 of those 20.
Yeah,
You guys,
that,
you
that
guys started
that's
together at a
accurate.
Lee for 5 years. I know when she was there, and then the Workforce Academy for a couple of years. So
Absolutely.
Daryl's a good friend and a very, very, very smart man in the education world. I also hear you're quite a history buff too.
I love me some history, my
I
brother.
know. I don't remember if it was Ash or John that used to tell me how they used to come to you for help and Mr. Price, rest in peace, for math because John was not very good at math. But hey, we've got a great show ahead of us. We're going to dive into some education topics. I know Trippy is chomping at the bits because it is near and dear to his heart. So I'm going to let him kick it off with some. But actually, before that, I don't know if anybody saw the breaking news today. There was a school shooting. Look, we just started the school year. Come on, guys. 14-year-old kid shot. I don't know if I think he killed four kids.
Well,
And
two teachers, two kids,
okay. And there was another teacher who was wounded. So, I mean, there was, but
like nine total.
we were talking about this a little earlier. It almost didn't fit the narrative because he was carrying a shotgun for one, which it's not that big mean assault rifle, that AR, that assault rifle. That's what it stands for, right? And it happened in Georgia, and I don't know much about it. I haven't seen enough. They haven't broken, but really, really shocked me was how fast they released the juvenile's name and how fast they said he'd be tried as adult. We're still trying to figure out who the guy was who shot Trump, but hey, that's a whole different ball game. So, hey, prayers out to all the folks in Georgia. It's heartbreaking to hear a 14-year-old kid's life is ruined, and he's ruined
Ruined.
others' lives forever. And so, thoughts and prayers out to the folks in Georgia. All right, so let's get on with the education part of our show. I'm not educated, so I'll let the idiot take over.
Well, I think that the best way to start off is let Darryl talk about Workforce Academy. Let's start there. Let's.
Oh, absolutely. I love Workforce Academy. I started there as a history teacher and really bought into the program. It's an academy that's only 11th and 12th grade. And what the mission of the school is to help those 11th and 12th grade students find jobs and then to get them through to the other side of that high school piece. Most of them come to us from the other 21 high schools in Orange County because they don't have the grades, they don't have the credits, or they haven't passed the state exams. So they come to us and we work with them because we're small, 280 kids when we're topped out. And that gives us an opportunity to really start to know who they are and what they need. And our teachers work really hard. I mean, Miss Zach was one of them for a few years, and she has that passion for the student, and that's really what it takes to help get these kids through because they have fallen through the cracks in that traditional education piece. Because they've been on this high school campus with 2,000, 3,000 kids, and there's like five guidance counselors. And so, there's so many kids that don't even get seen anymore. And so to get these kids that have been, it's like last call at the bar, gentlemen. Hey, look, y'all ain't got to go home, but you can't stay here,
That's
right?
right. That's
So
right.
here's a list of all these charter schools. And we are that one that fills that gap, right? That will take those 11th and 12th, man, and those super seniors, right? Those 19-year-olds who have just figured it out. The ones that figured out that a high school diploma doesn't mean anything unless you don't have one. And then all of a sudden you go, oh man, I really need the key to the next door, right? Otherwise, that ceiling comes up on you real fast. And if I can get the key to the next door, then I can go to trade school, then I can go to JUCO, or I can, if I'm just that guy that I need to work, I need to have a job because dad walked out and I'm trying to keep the lights on at mom's house, right? We have a few of those. And so in that case, look, I just need him to go to work one day, come to school the next day, and cash his check, get that GPA and those credits where he needs to be, walk across that stage in May, and get on with his life. I tell them all every day, I love you, but you got to go. Right? I'm like your parent. I love you, but you got to go. So I want you to get what you need. Right? See the teachers, stay for tutoring, do those things, pass that test, and then get the hell out of here. Right? Then that's what I need.
Well,
And
you know what? I was quite shocked at, and I know a lot of kids are trying to better themselves and
Mm,
get into the workforce. And some of them have kids, they got to take care of kids and
absolutely.
you know, I just found out though, from Ash, my youngest son,
Yeah.
he was talking about going to the military and he doesn't have his high school education. Go figure. His mom's a teacher and he dropped out. But that's a whole
Things
nother
happen.
stall. Yeah. But the Navy now will take you as long as you can pass the ASVAB test at a high score. They look for a certain score. If you can pass it, then that's good enough for them. And I'm
Well, you
like,
got to
well, that's
remember.
kind of good because it'll get some kids into the Navy that need to maybe be in the Navy. But is that is that what we want to tell our kids?
Well, here's where we are, though. I think, I mean, I hate to say this like such a blanket statement, but it's kind of where we are as a nation, right? We need. Look, my uncle ended up in the Marine Corps because he might have been in a car that didn't belong to him, right? And so they were like, oh, maybe you can go to jail or join the Marine Corps because we're talking it was the late 50s, early 60s.
Right.
So now we're kind of getting back to where, look, the red states can only produce so many kids, right? You look at who is putting kids in the military now, and those are the kids that are coming from the southeast, right? My oldest boy is a recruiter for the Coast Guard, and he struggles because the Coast Guard has a little bit of a different standard. Their Department of Homeland Security, right? So
Right.
their ASFAB's a little higher. Just their requirements are a little different. So they're having trouble meeting their standards to be mission ready. And if you're talking a small branch like the Coast Guard struggling to be mission ready, then how about that? I mean, look, I saw a report that said we had to put 18 ships, like just kind of stick them off over here and move those crews to be manpower ready on some other ships.
So
So we got
they're that
like
shorthanded.
yeah, they're that shorthanded.
Yeah.
So if we could get him in the Navy, look, he may not be driving the boat, but he may be painting the boat. And if that's what he can do, then God bless him.
Yeah.
In
Yeah. Yeah.
20 years, then get on with yourself, my friend.
I tell him, I said one it's I wouldn't say it's a regret, but one of the paths I wish I had taken was just done the military and 30 years and out. I'd be retired right now, you know. But
well, so
what are you gonna do? And so let's touch on that for a minute. Your education background, you have your bachelor's from Florida State, and then you got your master's from UCF. Did you do the Coast Guard prior to the college or after?
Absolutely. That's
Okay,
how I got to college.
there you go. You did that GI Bill.
Yeah, absolutely, man. That's how I got to school.
How
Because,
many years were you in the Puddle Pirates?
six,
Nice.
six.
6 years,
So
the Puddle Pirates.
absolutely, man, I'll take it. Ran,
Yeah. Hey, thank God for the Coast Guard. Well,
you
actually,
know,
Ash wants to do the diving, not a diver, but the divers who jump in when boats wreck and they go and
yeah,
save. That's what he wants to
Rescue
do.
swimmers.
Rescue
yeah.
swimmer. Yeah, thank you.
Rescue swimmers. My kids are
Thank you. I
swimmers.
know your kids are swimmers. They're going to be rescue swimmers
Yeah.
or they're going to be the
So,
Olympics.
so I want to make a couple points here. I think it's great what you guys do. When we talk about kids essentially being lost, and then they
Mm.
find their way at the workforce academy or they find their way in the military. There's something I read. It was actually by Charles Koch, who wrote. He's done a lot of writing, but one of his books was from the bottom up, and he talks about in a part of the book, not all of the book, how corporate America is just spending an absolute fortune. They hire the best kids, they hire the best candidates, but they have to teach them life skills. They still have the expense of training them as the simplest of life skills. And I just think we need to do is what you're doing and life skills, an online course of life skills, how to buy a house, how, and you guys are, I was reading your website, you guys are doing a big part of that. How do you balance a checkbook? How do you sign, how do you read a lease? Do you know what you're, would you know what you're signing when you sign a lease?
How about we start small? How to write a letter and then address an envelope.
Oh, yeah,
Right.
absolutely.
Yeah. So one thing I do, I volunteer at a home for homeless veterans. And it's not necessarily that they have PTSD that makes them homeless when they get outside the military. It's the simple fact that they went from high school or they were lost in high school. They got into the military. Like you said, the Navy's taking people without high school degrees and the Marines maybe too. But when they get out of the military, for whatever reason, if they don't stay the course of 30 years, they're not ready for the world. They're not ready to get a job. They're not ready to rent an apartment. And they wind
No.
up in this predicament of
And
homelessness.
and if you
Yeah.
don't do something like you did, Daryl, you did your 6 years and then you said, I'm going to go to college to better myself. Then you came out and look, when I went to the Navy, it was for construction. I got out in the late 80s, early 90s, and there was really nothing. I mean, there was construction, but it was kind of we were almost in a depression.
Right.
So nothing, so I had to go a different route. So imagine my biggest thing when I was talking to Ash or anybody who wants to go in the military, they're like, I'll just be a grunt, whatever. But what does that give you life skills? I mean, it teaches you how to do certain things, how to, square away and all that stuff.
Yeah,
But coming out as a grunt, you're just going to go work at McDonald's because that's
absolutely.
all, or Publix. And no knocking them. Look, the guy who used to run my Publix was with him for, I think, 30 years and he retired a
Right.
multimillionaire. So,
Oh,
but that's a whole
absolutely.
different ball game. But, I just, you have to aspire. If you're going to go into the military, have a game plan. I'm going to go in the military to become a police officer. I'm going to go in the military to become a teacher, a lawyer, go be a JAG, whatever. And then let them teach you what you need to do.
Right. And when you say McDonald's, for example, it's a funny thing you said that because I just read a story about a guy. He said, I never knew this would be my one and all job. He's been there 50 years. He's
Yep.
the owner operator of 31 stores. And who knows what each store nets him. So he may be in the $12 million a year range for all
But,
we know.
but he's in that very, very small percentile.
No, you can. I think something that we should teach kids is some level of consistency. You can't just look at you're bussing trays off of tables at McDonald's, but if you grow with the company or you at least learn the discipline it takes to keep the job, to show up on time, to do what you're supposed to do, to come in shaved, to come in properly, neatly dressed.
Dave.
These are all important skills that we take for granted. And
I fear though the problem is, and I hear where you're coming from but we come from a different generation where
well, that's what I'm saying is we
we were,
do.
but these kids today, if work's too hard, they just quit.
Well,
But I mean,
there's
unfortunately,
also a lot
I've
more.
heard stories of kids who have a really good job and show up a couple minutes late every day. Well, a couple minutes to a boss, if he adds it up over time, adds up, adds up, adds up, and next thing you know, you're in the office getting a rip, and then next thing you know, you're getting fired. But what did I get fired? I was only 10 minutes late. 10 minutes over 10 days is a lot of lates.
Right.
But they don't care. They just think, all right, I'll just go live in my parents' basement and play video games, become a professional gamer. And if you can do that, go for it, make a ton of money because there are people making money that way, or an online personality like we aspire to be. Um, I just think what I don't remember before before my ex and I went our separate ways, I don't
Okay.
remember not having two jobs because I had to make sure there was food on the table for my family. There was
Yeah.
no way I was quitting just because
Yeah.
I didn't like it, because they
I'm
were tough
tracking.
on me, because they made me cry. Nobody ever made me cry, but because they were hard. I'd go to work as, midnight security, get up the next, well, wouldn't even get up the next morning, go to a job the next day at a car dealership or something. And whatever I had to do to make the bills pay. You know how it is,
Hmm?
Jeff. how many times have I talked to you and you were asleep in the parking lot between shifts?
Oh yeah,
You
yeah.
know,
That's something we need to. Do we? Do you
and
do
I
something
won't mention
like
where you work because you probably get in trouble because you sleep in their parking lot.
that? But do you do that at Workforce Academy? Do you teach kids about all that sorts of discipline and stuff?
Absolutely. Because ironically, I had a young man today, right? He got sent to me because he had a little trouble with the filter today. He couldn't quite turn it off, right? So he came to me and we were talking, and I was like, hey man, I don't look, I know discipline is huge, right? And I know it takes up a lot of minutes of my day. But I know that there are talking points in there, and there's learning to be done even in that midst of just discipline. And so I usually go the route of, hey, what are you doing after this? Right? Because they're thinking, oh my God, I'm going to go in there and see coach. He's going to talk to me about, me not doing the right thing. And if I can say, what are you doing after high school, man? And have them go, wait a minute, this isn't what I was expecting or even what I'm used to. That's what I want. And then he said, I want to join the Air Force. And I was like, man, if you go in the Air Force and you're constantly doing this, you're going to be doing push-ups till the earth spins the other way, right? So I need you to learn how to control this. But now, after you graduate from here and you start to go to the Air Force, here's what I want you to be thinking about. And that's exactly what we were talking about today, believe it or not, was a job that transfers. If you don't think that you want to be in for 20 years, 30 years, I need you to be thinking about a job that transfers. Not being even being a rescue swimmer. What the hell are you going to do on the outside world, right? I need you to I mean, you're an American hero, and then what? So
You're a
I need
lifeguard
a
at the
job that's going to
YMCA.
transfer. I need you to be thinking about working on the helicopter, not jumping out of it, right? I need you to be
Right.
thinking about doing those kind of things that's going to put money in your pocket. So to answer your question, sir, is we have A and B schedule, right? So our kids, like if you're on A schedule, you come to school every Monday, every Thursday, and every other Wednesday. So then the obvious question is, if you're not in your academic classes, what the hell are you doing on campus, right? So those are the days that we are doing exactly what you talked about, the life skill things. I want you guys to be working on business law to be able to know how to read a contract. I want you to know how to buy a car and protect your credit score, and how to if you get an apartment, which electric company do you even call? Are you calling OUC? You calling Duke Energy? You calling Florida Power? Who are you calling?
Right.
Man, you don't even know how to turn the power on at the place. So you want to make sure that those lessons get taught. And I am one of those firm believers of, if you don't teach a child, an adult won't know. I mean, if you don't teach a child, an adult won't know. And
Right.
so you have to keep pounding, because, the things that our parents taught us have gotten lost over the years. I mean, we have people right now making fun of kids on Facebook that say, holy hell, if we just write in cursive and put stick shifts in all these cards, we'd cripple a generation. And that is friggin' shame on us, man. Because we never taught them. We never taught them cursive. We never taught them how to read cursive, and we never taught them how to drive a clutch. That's on us. So don't talk about the generation if they've never been taught the skills, right? So you got to make sure that those skills for that life after high school. I talk about the life after high school all the time, because like we were talking, man, I'm 60 plus years old. And I'm going to be the first one to tell you, when I graduated at the ripe old age of 17, I didn't even know I was going to live this long, right? But I'm glad my parents instilled in me those things I needed to do to survive.
Right.
I knew how to cook. I knew how to fold my clothes, right? And the Coast Guard took care of the rest, right? Making sure I was squared away, what to do, what time, I was supposed to be where. And so we start to press how important those life skills are. And then, we talk a lot about college, but we also talk a lot about trade school because, man, you can't get a plumber out of a truck for less than $100, right? So, I always like to use my own kids as an example. My daughter works in the medical field. Her husband is an AC guy and they make almost the same money, right? And we're talking about a guy with a trade school and a girl who went to friggin' Florida, right? So we are talking what you would think would be opposite career paths, and they're doing great, right? And he works in the AC business. So I always push that trade piece. Last year we had 4 kids go to Job Corps. We had 2 go to the culinary school in Miami, and we had 2 go to the construction piece over there in Clearwater.
Hmm.
And I'm telling you, those kids are doing good because one, they can get a high school diploma without taking the test, the Florida State assessment test, because it's a federal program. So if they pass what they need to do, then they can get their diploma through Job Corps. Holy mackerel, they can get their driver's license through Job Corps. Job Corps will teach them how to swim, for Pete's sakes, right?
Is Job
16 to 24.
Corps part with you guys, or do they
No,
partner? No,
absolutely not.
okay.
They're Department of Labor, right?
Oh,
So,
okay.
and so if you are 16 to 24, you go and you move in, sort of like college, right? You
Right.
go and move in, and they teach you a skill. Like in Clearwater, you can be everything from a pharmacy tech to an electrician. And if you go to South Florida, they do the culinary piece and do things like that in Miami. You go to Jacksonville, where our third Job Corps area is, they do more welding metal work up that way. If you want to go to drive a train, they'll send you to Texas, right?
Wow.
There's a lot of programs out there if the kids know where to look, right? And I think that's where workforce is really. I want you to pick your life after high school. If you want to go to college, I'll help you get there. If you want to go to trade school, I'll help you get there. If you want to go to Job Corps, man, military, I don't care. That military route, I'm kind of proud of. I enjoyed that. I love being called a veteran. I like being able to stand up when they say, "Where's all our veterans at?" I love that, right?
Yeah.
Especially now that I'm an old man. So I think it's just super important that we start taking that time with these older kids, right? Because look, we start talking about graphing lines like in the 3rd grade. We need to start putting that stuff behind and go, look, you already know how to graph a line, but I want to tell you how to pay your taxes, right? I want you to be able to do these things, protect your credit score. Dadgummit, do not be paying 35% interest to your Visa card, y'all. They are stealing your money. But if you don't teach a child, an adult won't know.
Right. 100%. And well, let's talk about trade schools. I mean, one of the best things John ever did was he went to welding school at Lake Tech.
Absolutely.
And now he's what, 24 years old, making 25, $30 an hour. And his cousin went and did it. His cousin actually went on the road and works. He's a union welder and tours around the nation. I think he's making like 50, $60 an hour. And I
I
mean,
love it.
that's insane. What
No, it's
kid,
wonderful.
unless you're slinging rock, how you making that money?
Right.
You know?
Absolutely.
And the reason John loved the welding aspect, puts his earbuds in, pulls his mask down, and nobody bothers him.
That's
He
right.
doesn't want to talk to people, which is great, which is
So
fine.
let's talk about you doing more. Like you said, that you spoke to the Commissioner of Education, right? Florida Commissioner of Education. He wants to open more schools.
Absolutely. It was so awesome. Senator Randy Bracy, from our district here in Orlando, he stepped away from the last election. He stepped away. I guess maybe even 2 cycles ago, but they served together in the Senate, him and Mr. Diaz. And he said, and Mr. Diaz is now our commissioner of education for the state of Florida. And they were just, at a barbecue or something. And he said, "Man, you got to come down and see this school." And he was like, "You know what? I might just do that." And doggone it, they called us about a week before and said, "Hey, Mr. Diaz wants to come see your model." And we were like, "What?" Yeah, absolutely, right? So he came down and he wanted to see what Workforce does, right? Since we're the only school like this in the whole state of Florida. So we talked about our model, what we do, life after high school, the work component, how the work component becomes an elective credit, right? So they get a grade for working. So then he was like, "This is amazing. How can I get these schools in my other 66 counties, right?" And we talked about the difficulty of maybe doing it in a rural area, because trying to get that many jobs, right? If you have a big school where you have 300 kids, where are you going to get them all to work, right? So if in a bigger town, in Orlando, man, we don't have any trouble finding jobs for these kids. But if you were in Live Oak, right, what do you do, right? What do you do with those kids? But so we talked about that, and then there's a special heart that he recognized, and I appreciate his astuteness in picking this up. Is your teachers to really have to pour in, right? You have to care about each individual student, because you are trying to contribute to their life after high school, long after you turn them loose to the world. But you have to work so hard, because most of the kids that we get, they come to us with like a 1.2 GPA, and you got to get them to that 2.0, and you have to get them to that 24 credit mark, and you got to get them through that fast test or the algebra 1 or whatever it is. And you have to be willing to come in early, stay late, and be that support. Sometimes we are the only thing consistent. I mean, this is alternative education, y'all, and we are sometimes the only thing consistent in these young people's lives. And so it takes a special teacher, it takes a special admin staff to be willing to continue to pour in to this group.
What
So
what
like
is the demographics in your school?
I would say we are 90% African American and probably 10% Hispanic. And we got like two white kids. But a lot of that is location, because we are right there on Rio Grande. And so
You guys are deep, deep in the
I
hood,
yeah, we are. Absolutely. We're
right by
right.
the stadium.
Holden Heights, Washington Shores. We are on that side of the division, right?
Yes.
But um, uh, in the last year, we are really seeing a change. We're starting to get those kids from Boone. We're starting to get a few kids from Winter Park, because they're buying into our success. When I can say, "Hey, look, I can get you to graduate," and the Winter Park saying, "Hey, I don't know where you're going, but you can't stay here."
Right.
They'll say, "Look, I'll take the chance, and I'll take that opportunity." We'll show them that door to Valencia, because Valencia is really getting into this trade school business, and it's a great story if you haven't heard. The one of the band members of Metallica um, has really loved the roadies, right?
Right.
He was like, this show wouldn't work if it wasn't for the roadies and the
Right.
construction guys. And so somehow he had a connection to Valencia, and the next thing you know, there's Metallica money pouring into Valencia to get into this trade school program. And so it has been, man, now there's welders, now there's forklift drivers, we got kids going straight from workforce, like after school, to go learn how to drive a forklift, to go buy
Right.
into those programs, and it doesn't cost them anything, and it's almost like a dual enrollment. And so we are getting kids to start make money, putting operator money in their pocket, and learning those life skills. You know, getting that job, as you and I mean, you guys understand, but getting that job changes your circle, right? Because I'm talking to the same 16, 17-year-old kid, right? So, you know, whatever. But now I got this job. Now I'm standing next to this 40-year-old mom who's dropping life on me, not only teaching me how to fold this t-shirt, how to do whatever, telling me how to do inventory, but she's also dropping the life on me, telling me, boy, you better be doing this, or you better be saving your money, or you better,
Right.
your circle has now changed.
Yeah.
That is so important. That job piece becomes so important because now it's more than just a paycheck. Because now you're learning all those life skills. You got to deal with that woman that didn't want pickle on her Chick-fil-A sandwich, and she's pissed off with you. And now you got to try to explain to her, ma'am, thank you for giving me the opportunity to fix this, right? And not go, look, man, it's a pickle. Get the hell away from me. No, 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 no. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to fix your sandwich, right?
Right.
So you got to learn those life skill things. And if there's just not enough places for our young people to be exposed to jobs, to and still have the opportunity to earn a real high school diploma, right? And we're not talking about a good enough degree, a GED. No, we're talking about getting a real high school, Orange County Public School diploma, and being able to put money in your pocket. It's a, you know, I love it. I love what I do, man. I know the passion is, I've shanghaied your show.
That's all
And
right. That's why we
No,
had
no,
you
we want to
on.
hear. We wanted to hear. I want to hear from you. I want to hear. I told Zach, I can't believe you got this this guest. I'm amazed. I want to do this show today. But I love the term "dropping life on you," and I want to tell you what. I was a restaurant manager. I used to go to. I worked for a chain. I used to go to 25 different locations.
right.
I used to say, without the term "dropping life on you," because I didn't know it. I tell these kids, look, especially the servers, you're not going to make the most money in here as you might another restaurant. Let me tell you what you are going to have. You're going to learn multitasking skills. Like you said, you're going to learn communication skills. You're no longer going to respond, go F yourself, it's just a pickle. You're going to say,
Absolutely.
I'm sorry, ma'am. I realize we're, one team, one dream. I did ring it incorrectly, but the kitchen put it out wrong. And so when you leave with or without 2 weeks notice, you've left here with something. So make every day you stay the best possible day you've had at work until the next experience. And I would first and foremost acknowledge this isn't going to be your best work experience, but it is going to be a very enriching work experience. And that's just something I just think, not my restaurant chain. We don't usually use the businesses I work for names, but um we're it's something we need to convey to not only to kids. We need to convey it to restaurant managers. We need to convey it to adults in general. There's a TED talk. Positive messaging is everything to a kid. It doesn't. You could have a kid swim every day, and he's not the greatest swimmer. But I tell my kids who are really some of the top swimmers in their team, you're learning discipline. You're staring at the bottom of a pool for 3 hours a day. You're learning discipline.
Yeah.
And so even if you may make it to Olympic trials, you may make it to the Olympics. I don't know. I don't have that answer. I don't know how the competition is doing when you get there. I don't know where they'll be. But this is an experience in life that you can never replace. So don't always worry about winning. Don't always worry about leaving your friends behind. Enjoy them. Enjoy every bit of it. And that positive messaging should come from teachers. It should come from restaurant managers. It should be out there conveyed to kids every day, no matter when you run into them. And I just love what you say when you say dropping life on them. Grown-ups in general should be dropping life on kids. There are grown-ups who feel like they're putting their life in their hands when they go to a kid with his pants half down to his knees and saying, you really should just buy a pair of pants that fit. And you might want to rethink that logic because you may be putting your life in your hands. But it is something kids need to hear. That a part of your next day is going to be how you appear in front of people, how you present yourself. So
Man, we do that dress code thing, right? So we're a dress code school. So that is usually the first reality check for a lot of these, for especially the young men, right? Um, when we say, gentlemen, you're going to wear pants, you're going to tuck in your shirt, you're going to have a belt on, we're going to wear closed-toed shoes, and you're like, no Crocs? You mean no slides? You're right. That's what I mean. No Crocs, no slides, right? And no grills, no, right? Because I want you to be able to work anywhere. You're going to have human colored hair, right? So will you see a black girl with blonde hair on my campus? Absolutely. Will you see anybody with like green hair? No, not at all. Because
Right.
I want you to be able to work anywhere. Like
Right.
we had a job fair 2 weeks ago at our school, right? We had employers come out to our campus to interview our kids. We had a daycare. We had the Gaylord Palms came out. We had the sign like they make like the fast signs are us. They actually manufacture the signs, metal signs, canvas signs, those kind of things.
Right.
And they hired, I mean, we probably had maybe 11 kids get jobs that day, right? And so we even had for the after school care lady that she came out and held her little orientation right on our campus. So she came out, because our kids, they worked that AB schedule, so they weren't in class, so they were able to do their orientation and not take away from their academics. So they were able to meet in one place, right? So there's so much positive things that goes on that never gets any attention, right? But we know what's happening, right? The churches work so hard. The schools are working hard for what they have, right? Because when there's 3,000 kids on a campus and you got 5 guidance counselors and you got 100 teachers it's like there's just going to be kids out there just lost, right? And we have to do whatever we can because, guys, I'm at the end, right? I am at the end of this thing because I am not going to work till 30 minutes before my funeral. No, I am going to retire at some point, and I want to make sure that I leave the planet a little bit better than what I found it. And that is pretty hard to do because I grew up in a great time. I grew up in that, I went to high school in the late 70s, right? So, I mean, we had a student smoking section, for Christ's sake. So, I mean, it was just a whole different time. And because just in case you couldn't tell by the voice, I'm pretty country, right? So, I had a great experience growing up, right? I didn't have to worry about somebody in a white stalker van stealing me or my sister, or it wasn't like that. We didn't live in fear. We didn't do that. And I want to show the kids that I come in contact with every day that this can be a great place. You just have to start, being that example.
Yeah. And we need more of those academies. There's another thing that's always on my mind. I tell Zach so many times. It's called timing out of foster care. There's kids that time out of 18, hit the bricks, and they get a per diem from the state that's not enough for much baby rent, potentially a bus pass, but not a rent and a car. First thing they do is often, and I just say this, I don't have percentages, but often they realize the one thing they have to trade over and above their elder competition is themselves. And that's how a lot of these kids wind up in the sex trade.
Yes,
And we
absolutely.
need more workforce academies where these kids can get an AB schedule, where they can continue, get their, just like you said, get their high school degree, get a B schedule that they can show up for work 3 days a week. And
Absolutely.
in addition to their per diem, have a car, have something keeping them really occupied, work and school, rather than hitting the streets at night. And we just need more of that. That is the solution for a lot of things that's going wrong in the world today. When people say more kids are bad today, they're not bad. Family's not as together as it was. Kids that grow up and go to a home with no dad and a mom passed out on the couch from either working too much or drinking too much
Right.
have no direction. So what are they going to do? And if they flounder in high school and they fail out of high school, but they have a place to go after that, when somebody goes to them and says, there's this workforce academy where you can continue to get your GED, where you can continue to get your high school diploma
Absolutely. Yep.
and have that AB schedule is a lot. Like Zach said, we were older when we were doing 2, 3 things. I was, like he said, he was too, sleeping in my car 3 hours. Get up. I tell my wife, call me in an hour, call me in 2 hours, call me in 3 hours. Get up, wake up, shake it off, go to another job, and then go home that night and get a good night's sleep. But there's plenty of time to do a lot more than a lot of these kids are doing. And part of it is getting their high school education and potentially their college education after that
Well,
online.
I'm a firm believer in the trades. I don't think you should go to college just to get a degree because truthfully, what's a liberal arts degree going to do for you? You know, but if you go to school to become a truck driver, you go to school to become a welder, a mechanic, things that we're always going to need. Look, here in Florida, you remember, was it John's graduation when the AC, the Duck Man came,
Yeah, the Duck Man.
and he would give out scholarships for kids to come work for him
Absolutely.
to become an air conditioning guy.
Yeah,
You
like
will
internships.
always need an air conditioning guy in Florida.
I'm
You
telling
will
you, my
not need
son-in-law,
you will not need someone who has their degree in ancient literature
cave
that no
drawing.
longer is a
Absolutely.
language anymore. No, you need somebody. Look, I got guys who cut my grass. You got to start somewhere, but you got to also know I know how to fix these mowers because they broke down. Well, now I got a mower shop.
Yep.
There's a guy here in Sorrento. He's been there. I've been here, Florida, for 30 years. I bet you his shop's been here for 50 years. And he probably does well. He probably started as a kid tinkering. Now he fixes mowers for the rest of his life, whatever. It doesn't mean you have to do that for the rest of your life, but get yourself started. You
Well,
know, one
just
of the things like you talk about, I joke about that too. Start writing in cursive and everybody start driving stick and we'll crush a generation. But if we don't teach kids how to drive stick, look, my parents, old school.
Absolutely.
I was just talking about this the other day. I took my driving test in a 5-speed car. And the guy said, "Are you sure you want to drive stick for your driving test?" I said, "I don't know how to drive anything else." And my dad said, "If you know how to drive a stick, you can drive anything,"
Yep.
which is true. I can drive a
Yep.
truck, I can drive a car, I can drive whatever it takes, right?
Absolutely.
But you throw a kid in a car, an 18 wheeler, and they look at it, goes, "What's this thing in the middle? Where's drive?" Come on,
Mm.
bro. There's no
God
drive.
bless you.
Why is there three buttons or three
Yeah,
pedals down
the
there?
little pop-up. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
What is that thing down there? That's called the clutch,
Yeah.
or heaven forbid.
And don't have the high
Yeah,
low
yeah, yeah.
feature,
How do I
right?
get to the 18 gears?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, not everybody wants to be a truck driver. Not everybody wants to work in the food industry. Not everybody wants to be a welder. Okay, sure. Some people want to be doctors, scientists, lawyers. Go to school.
Absolutely. And
But
that's what college is for.
don't go to school and waste your mommy and daddy's money to
Absolutely.
become a another burden on society. Go
no,
get a
not at all.
degree. And I will be the first one to tell you when I lost I was supposed to play, ball in school. And when I lost my scholarship for that, my father told me, "You're not going to college." I said,
Oh,
"Why?" He goes, "You're not wasting my money to go become one with a keg on a couch."
yikes.
It was reality because that's what you did in college, right? So I started out at 14 years old. I worked at a gas station. I pumped gas. In Jersey, we pump gas, right?
You
I
still
pumped
do.
gas.
Thank God for Wawa.
Yes.
That's why. Do you know? Hang on, let
And-
me tell you. That's why there'll never be Bucky's in New Jersey
right, because
because
there wouldn't be enough guys to hire to
it'd be,
pump gas.
you need 50 gas attendants on every shift.
Right, because
Absolutely.
they have 250 pumps. They're building the biggest
Somebody
one here
told
in
me that,
Ocala,
that
I
that's
think.
the
I
one
think
state in the country though that me and Zach seem to have a fascination with Bucky's. I
I
just went
love
there for the
Buc-ee's.
first time, and I just thought of that.
Well done.
I love Buc-ee's. No, no, it's right. But here's the thing. At 14 years old, I knew how to make change, proper change.
Right.
I had to
You count
multitask
it
because when you
back.
yes, I knew how to multitask because you had four pumps going at once, checking oil, washing windows. That guy's only getting $5. Make sure he doesn't go over five. This, that, or the other thing. You got to run around like a lunatic. I'm thinking back in my head now. I go, I don't know if I could do that now.
No
I don't know that
multitasking.
I would want to do it. People come in and they go, give me $3. Obviously when gas was 99 cents back
Yeah,
then, or
right.
79
When
cents,
gas was 50
give
cents.
me
Yeah.
$3 and a pack of smokes. All right. Pack of smokes was 75 cents, $3. So it's 3.75. He gave me a
Right.
five. How much do I give him back?
Right. Yeah. With no machine, man, just
Or
with
then he'll
money.
throw
Oh,
you
all
off
the
and
money
hand
was
you
in your
$5
pocket.
and, or he'll throw you off and hand $5.75. Oh crap. Now what do I do?
Now what? Yeah.
Yeah.
Or a
Yeah.
quarter or something
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, people got to learn. I was not a math whiz in school by any means. Math and science made no sense to me. And then you threw
Right.
letters in it, and I was really confused. I was an
Gotcha.
English guy. My mom's an English teacher. My wife's an English teacher. I can't barely speak, but it's okay. I
But you
liked
can read,
English.
I bet you. You can read.
I can. I used to love reading. And I loved history because it took memory to remember those things,
Right.
right? And I did really well. So when I was my senior year, they said, you have to take a math class to pass. I said, I've taken all the basic math. I don't want to do algebra. I don't want to do that. I don't. They said, no, we're going to give you basic check writing and accounting.
Oh, dude, I've been all over it.
Teach you how to write checks and how
That
to
would be
keep your
great.
ledger. So I used to make fun of my dad because he'd be down in his office doing the bills and he had a ledger where he'd write in green and in
Yep.
red.
Yep.
I went to this class and I went, oh my gosh,
Now I
I
understand.
understand. Now, obviously, we have everything on our
Oh,
phones.
yeah, absolutely. I
My
walk
mom's
around
like,
with
how
a
do you keep
computer.
track of your checks? I go, I haven't written a check in 20 years, mom. Everything I pay through with my phone and it's right there. It tells me, well, what if
Right.
the banking system crashes? What if your phone crashes? What if you actually work or you have to pay a bill and they require you to pay with check? Do you know how to write a check? I don't, and I'm not going to show this, but I took a check from a customer the other day, right?
Uh-huh.
An elderly lady. She doesn't deal with credit cards. She paid with a check.
Right. Yeah.
Okay, great. I mean, if I told my kids to write me a check for you owe me rent this month, give me a check for $500. A what? No, I'll just cash app it to you. No,
Yeah.
you got to
Yeah.
write a
Yeah.
check. I
Can you
don't know how to
sell
do
it to
that.
me? What can you do? Yeah.
Can you write it to me? Put it in an envelope, put the right postage on it, return address and the address. Can you do that for me?
And a
They
stamp.
they would have no idea.
No,
Okay.
it's
And
still going to be a part of life for a long time too.
and
We
if
really
the
need
internet,
to trust these.
if the interweb, as the old people would call it,
Interwebs.
the interwebs, if that crashed, we'd be screwed. How would they get anything anywhere? We'd be
Yeah.
screwed.
Yeah.
So you have to be prepared. Look, I've got a friend I'm going to get on this show. He's my brother. We've been best friends since we were little kids. He's a
Man.
prepper.
Okay.
And he goes, I'm going to survive because I know how to do things. They will not survive because A, they're going to try me and they're going to get shot, or B, they'll just die because he who runs out of food dies first.
Oh, absolutely. Or
This
clean
guy,
water.
this guy trained himself to build his own garden. He grows his own food. He has probably 50,000 rounds of ammo. He
Yeah.
probably has 600 gallons of water, and he's got everything prepared. I think he's a little over the top, but hey, God bless him. I love him.
Hey,
And
he's
when I
prepared.
told him when ish hits the fan, I'm coming to Texas. We're going to
Yeah,
Tejas, me and
absolutely.
him. And he's like, come on, let's go. But you don't have to go to that extreme, but you're right. My youngest, who we were talking about earlier, who started her senior year at UCF, go Knights.
Yep.
Um,
Charge on.
I taught her how to start cooking.
Yep.
So she would cook eggs in the morning for herself because I got tired of doing it. I said, Jana, you're not going to marry a chef. Well, maybe you will marry a chef. Go for it. But
Yeah. God
he might
bless
not
you.
be there all the time. So you got to cook. And microwave food gets boring after a while.
Oof.
So she learned and she cooks. And I'm proud of her. You know, she'll come out and go, Mommy, can you cook me something? I look at her and she's like, but it tastes so much better when mommy does it. And I said, okay,
Absolutely.
and Lorianne loves that. She loves that. She gets, all right, I'm good.
Yeah. 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 I
But
got it.
I know that when Jana does move out, when she graduates and moves out, which I don't know when that's ever going to happen. I keep telling her, you're never moving out, are you? But when she does, she'll be able to take care of herself, you know? And how many kids, unfortunately, that probably go to your school, and that's why I asked the demographics, because I know the neighborhood you're in. It's
Yeah.
actually my territory for my where I work.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. I know
And
you've been there. Yeah. Absolutely.
I have, but I see these kids because I go to their house to measure for a fence or whatever.
Right.
There's no dad. It's just
No.
mom. And
Nope.
mom's at work, so
Yep.
little junior has to show me the survey and show me where the mom wants the fence and what they're looking for. So he has to be articulate enough to talk to me. He has to understand what he's looking for, and he has to understand that this is going to cost money. This isn't free. So I dealt with one the other day down off of Ivy or Texas. I don't remember.
Oh goodness. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and they love me down there. The fence man, the bug man, and the postman.
Yeah,
They love us
absolutely.
all.
I was
But
Bud Man down
Attaboy.
he said I'm gonna apply for credit. And I looked at him. He goes, "Yeah, I got a job." I said, "My man." I said, "All right, good for you." He got a credit. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm used to, I was in the auto industry for 100 years, and the last 10 years or whatever, I worked in the buy here, pay here industry. And
Right.
you know,
Okay.
I got credits. I do you? Yeah, I got three. Okay. you know,
Yeah.
this kid knew what he was talking about. He knew
Right.
how to handle his money. I was proud. I was like, my man. And
Yeah. Absolutely.
he was barely 18, if that, So I ask you, maybe he went to workforce. I don't know, but it seems like, or maybe he's got the mom who's got and the grandma
Right.
who's got the grind on him,
Yeah. Absolutely.
because unfortunately in the demographics we talk about, and I can't say that for all of them, and I can't say it for all that demographic. It could be other demographics, but the problem with a lot of these poorer neighborhoods is there's no father involved, so they're not getting taught the guy things, how to pay
Right.
the bills, how to do this, how to do that,
How to change a freaking tire.
how to
Yeah.
change your light
Absolutely.
bulb,
Yeah. Absolutely.
right? And
Yeah.
I give you kudos because I feel your school is stepping up and taking the reins for that.
I've been, it's a good thing because, like you said, I get to be coach to a lot of kids. And coach is one of those, it's one of those words where it's a noun and a verb.
Right.
Because, yeah, you can say, go see coach, right? And that's me. Or then there's that little piece that I do once you get to me. And that's that coaching piece, right?
Right.
So there's that noun and verb, right? So I look at it that way as that two-part job. Sometimes I have to be, the physical coach, but most of the time I just be your coach. And that's really the role I love to play because I just want to make you better. I'm not trying to break you down. I'm not trying to, because look, you can pour water on a drowning guy, right? You can. Or you can bust your ass and reach over the side and try to drag him out, right?
Right.
So, what role do you want to play?
Or you could
And
be the guy with the
so,
camera phone
it,
recording him.
absolutely,
you know?
right? That foolishness.
Yeah.
You really, um, uh, the commissioner was right. You need a special heart to do what we do. Because if you don't care, you could just let these kids go and you could run a half-ass school and you would have some success because some kids want it, but most kids don't even know what they want
Let's
until you start asking the questions and then showing them a path and then let one or two be successful. Let them
right.
find that job and keep that job. Next thing you know, they got money in their pocket. And all of a sudden, they are doing some good things, man. And I tell you, it matters. And I just love to be a part of something that matters.
Well, and it's so important, but let's touch on that a little bit. The My wife's an educator, she's been in the business for 19 years, 18, 19 years,
Absolutely.
whatever. You've been 20 years.
Yeah.
The sad thing I'm finding out is these people who had the passion and the fire are burnt. They're done.
Yeah.
And the new kids that are coming up probably don't understand it or know how to have it because they're not from the old school. They don't know how to light that fire. They just want to be a school teacher. They thought it was a cool job. I get my summers off or whatever. Hey, don't get me wrong. My dad was a school teacher. We did a lot of traveling. My mom was a school teacher. And I look back, I go, I should have became a school teacher. I'd have been a PE teacher. Get to wear shorts
Absolutely.
every day, but
Dude.
How many of these teachers that had the fire and the passion just gave up? They don't care anymore, and the kids are getting kicked to the side. That's the sad thing that I'm hearing also. And then you're getting people coming in who want to become teachers who may have the heart and the passion to do it, and their first year they just get their heads kicked in by the
Oh,
students
absolutely.
or by admin or whomever. And who wants to deal with that crap?
They
You know,
don't make, I mean, we don't make enough money for that foolishness, right?
no.
So
School teachers,
and when
cops, firefighters.
you start thinking about the money we make per hour, shit, man, I could go 10 bar and make more money. You start thinking about that, then it becomes the passion, right? And I go back to 1979, right? Department of Education gets founded, and we
Right.
have been going downhill ever since, right? We were number one in the world in education, and then we've had the Department of Education, and we have yet to be number one again. So,
Number
so
one,
what do
Florida or
we
just the United States?
United States, what are we doing? What are we doing wrong, right? And I think what we're doing wrong is we're trying to all be on page 7 at the same time. And we know that kids don't work that way, right? They don't learn at the same speed. And some kids don't even care about page 7. So now what are you going to do? So you can't cookie cutter this thing too much, right? And
Too
let's
much.
face it, the schools in Des Moines are not going to be the same as the schools in Boston. So how are
My
we going
dog's
to
hitting my
keep them
microphone.
all to going, right?
Right.
So we as a nation have got to kind of figure it out. And we also too have to stop with the teacher grading system, because I don't use it. I refuse to use it at workforce because it really is just a popularity bullshit contest, right?
Right. Right.
No, because if my teacher's not working, I'm just going to go in there and go, "Hey, man, what are you doing?" Right? I don't need an iPad. I don't need to slip in there when he's not looking, and take some notes to make sure the lesson is written on the board. No, no, I don't need to do that. I don't need a gotcha from my teachers. What I need to know is what they need to be successful and make sure they have those tools,
Right. And
right?
and how many teachers are frustrated because they're having to teach to learn the test,
Yeah,
Teach the
all of them,
test.
teach the
Teach
all of
test.
them.
because they in some
They
places
don't get to use their passion of
Absolutely.
education.
Right. Because I have to teach this fast, best, algebra 1, biology, and what is it, US history. Those are the tests I got to teach to because of my kids. See, and that is what, dadgummit. Here's the thing that bothers me the most. I'm older, but I never had to pass one test to earn my high school diploma. I
Right.
had
We
to
had to take the standard test, absolutely, but it didn't
No,
do
but it didn't matter. As long as I had my credits and I had my GPA, I
right.
was going to walk across that stage,
Yeah, because
right?
I used to Christmas tree it.
Oh, absolutely. The California Achievement Test or whatever the hell
We
that
took
thing
the
was.
Iowa test. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Whatever it was, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
we used to take at the end of the year, and then it just compared you with other kids in that grade, right? It was all it was,
Well,
and
they
they
would just tell my
treated
parents who
too.
have
So most of the time, I
special
look
needs
like a
kid.
friggin' genius, right? And it's
Right.
like I just Christmas treed better than they did. So so
You got
um,
lucky, right?
yeah,
I hit
absolutely.
the right code.
I picked C in the right place. I don't know. But I went to class every day, right? Right now in the state of Florida, not for this is one of those not for nothing stories. We are at 22% almost truancy rate in the state of Florida. Our kids have not come back to school since COVID.
Right.
and and how do we and I that has been my battle cry for this year. I call parents, I send texts, I have sent letters home, and I'm in week what 4, and I'm telling you, I am already reaching out to parents because I've had kids I've seen twice, and I'm like, I can't have you fail because you're not here,
Yeah, but
because
don't they get an
you're
automatic
here.
grade even though they don't show up? Or if they
50.
show up one, yeah. How is that fair to the guy who shows up but he's not as smart and he's maybe getting a
Wait a
60, and
minute. So
these
if they
kids,
don't show up, they still get a 50?
yeah, that's Florida.
Absolutely.
That's
Orange
Florida
County.
rule.
Yeah.
Yeah, Orange County. Is it Florida or Orange County?
It's
So
Orange
when
County.
you contact the parents, what do they say? They're going to show up. They're going to show up.
Some of them really do get, some of them really do. They're like, oh my God, I'm dropping him off right down the street. You mean he's not walking? I'm like, no, mom, he's not walking, right? Because I don't see him. But some of them are like, he's working too much. So then I go down. I honestly, I do this. I'll ride down to where this kid is working, and I will tell the boss. I'll get with the boss and I'll say, hey, man, I really want him to graduate because I'd really like him to be your next manager. But for that, that means you're going to want him to have that high school diploma. So let's work together. I have talked to parents. I have talked to bosses. I have talked to aunties, grandmas, couch surfing people, whatever it may be, because, you know, we work real hard just for them to be successful because their success is my success,
Right.
right?
Absolutely.
You have to wrap your head around that. Look, you're not always going to get that pat on the back. You're not going to say, man, that coach is the best guy ever. And if you live for that, this is not the field for you. But if you just want to truly improve the next generation, then absolutely education is the route for you, because you need to pour into these kids because parents are too worried about being their best friend and not being their parent.
Right.
So
That's the problem with today's
somebody has to
generation.
be that guiding light. Somebody has to install that moral compass, because I am not going to be your friend. I am not Willy Wonka. I don't sugarcoat anything. I am going to be blunt with you. I am going to tell you exactly like it is. And I'm going to tough love you through this whole process. And
100%.
and that's just important to me.
So when you reach out to the parents,
Yep.
what would you say the percentages of the parents that actually care, that want to get involved and put the foot in their kids'
30%.
butt? 30%. So you got
So when
70% kicked to the wayside.
70%, man. If I could get 50% to return my call or email, dude, I would dance the tchotchke. I mean, I just I
Now,
can't.
now let's ask about the employers. What's the percentage of them wanting to work with you to get these
Now
kids?
probably about 95% because they want a good employee.
Apps there's the problem. Not
They want a
it's
good
not a
employee.
problem, but the role the world is backwards there.
Absolutely.
It should be 95% of the parents wanting to be putting their foot in their kid's butt and saying, get to school.
But
I
when
mean,
you get with those parents and you get no response whatsoever, like you said, they didn't even return your calls. I mean, is there still hope to get to those kids? Can you talk to the kid directly somehow? Or
What I do is, like, say I haven't seen you for a week, right? Or I haven't seen you in 2 weeks. And so I kind of put the bolo out at the front desk, right? And I'm like, man, these are the kids I'm looking for. So if they happen to come in, if they're tardy, because we have a check-in system. um we our school, 11th and 12th grade, but we go through like SeaWorld security every morning, right? So when you come into our school, you come in through our gate, your backpack gets gone through, you get wanded, and you get your morning, man, I'm so glad you're here today. Nothing but love for you. I hope you have the best day ever, and get on to class, right? So you get your 2 minutes of encouragement before but I mean, because I am there to greet you at the door. And then the parents that I can get a hold of, um, yes, but the kids, they start to know that they do have adults in their life that care about them. It may not be coach. It may be my math teacher. It may be my science teacher that they have a relationship with. And then all of a sudden they start coming to school for that adult. And then because they want some kind of acknowledgement or kudos or at a job from some adult in their world. And sometimes, like I said earlier, that we are that only consistent factor in their life.
Well, how many
That's why it's
times
so
that
important that we come to work every day.
right? Well, how many times at a Lee I'd hear the story where Miss Zach gets her cursed out and yelled at, but by the end of the week, the kid's going, "Hey, Miss Z, you gonna take me to church?"
Oh yeah, absolutely.
You
Yeah,
know,
yeah,
and then
yeah.
she's like, "Wait, you were just cussing me out a minute ago,
Did
but
you
are
just
you
tell me to go F myself?
yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
But you want me to pick you up for
Absolutely.
church? You gonna pick me up for church?" And you know, I don't know if you know this, Trippy. When Lorianne was at a Lee, we actually had to get a van for the church because she brought that many kids to church from the school because they all wanted to
Now
go to
that's a
church.
beautiful thing.
She never
It is
forced
an
one
absolute
kid.
beautiful thing.
They actually would ask her. And the funny story is the majority of those kids were, you know, Ali is the alternative school in Lake County. It's where the I call it the bad kids school, but there's no such thing as bad kids. It's just bad parents.
Right.
But it's
Misguided.
where, you know, this is where the kids are, but you come to find out these kids have been going to church all their life because their grandma takes them or something like that. And now grandma can't be there, can't do it. And now Mama Zach steps in and she's taking them.
Yeah.
And
That's a beautiful thing.
you know,
It's a
I
great
remember
thing.
one point in time we had to go to the Sanford airport to pick up one of those super big 19 passenger vans because nobody had one and we had to rent that because she had I think 22 kids going, so we had to drive one car in the
That
van.
is awesome.
Yeah,
That's great. That's beautiful.
but
I
she'll
was
tell
just
you the
thinking,
kids were just cussing her out the day before and now they're in church.
There was two sisters at a Lee that
Yeah, yeah,
that seemed to they had that love that Miss Zach, I love you to oh, you can't tell me, not to do this, but she's like giving them great advice, like, hey, don't go out and sleep with that boy, right? Or whatever it is.
right.
And then next thing you know, boom. And it's like, dang gummit, I told you not to do that, right? So, and
You know
then
the
they'd be
joke
all mad
at
at
Ali was that a couple generations like well, let's say I don't remember how many years she would say it. She says everybody who's going to be going to Lee is going to be related
it absolutely.
because they
Well,
all everybody
dude,
slept with everybody there.
and we there were people that would thought we had these two boys. They thought they were cousins, and then at lunch they were sitting and they were talking. They found out they were brothers,
wow.
and it's
I had
like,
kids on the football team when I coached in Mount Dora
yep,
that they were brothers, but they lived two different dads, but the same
dude,
mom.
yeah, same mom, but different dads and different sides of town, and yeah,
I'm
yeah,
like, wait, you're brothers, but I'm dropping you off here and you over. Oh, different. I get it. And the funny thing
yeah,
is,
yeah.
Lorianne used to keep her pictures of the kids up on the wall, and they'd be like, "Those your kids? Yeah, same baby daddy. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. That is so odd because it is true. That is because it's not frequent or it's not usual. And so they'll say, well, how many wives have you had? And if you say, if you got like less than five, right? Or whatever. If you say, like with me, I got 9 grandkids, right? And they're like, well, holy mackerel, right? And it's like, no, my kids have been married to the same people from the beginning. And they're
right."
like, oh, wait, what? How is that possible? I said, look, they just found great people. So
Yeah.
Let
I mean,
me
that's a,
let me break in here for a real quick commercial trip. We got to talk about our sponsor. Got
oh yeah.
backup.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
Do you need storage? How about 6 terabytes for up to 6 separate accounts, all for the low price of $9.97 a month? Check it out at zaxworld226.gotbackup.com. Totally encrypted and secure. You control your data and so much more. Check it out in the link I'll put in the bio or go to zaxworld226.gotbackup.com for all your backup needs. All right, back to the show.
All right, let's go on to school safety. Let's talk
okay.
about, because I know you had something about a course you have to take to be a gun carrying teacher in Florida.
Yes,
I,
sir.
and
Is the Guardian program specifically for a armed personnel, or is it Guardian can teachers be armed? Is that what you're trying to ask,
Okay,
Trippy?
the Guardian program, you like, oh, let's see if I can break it down. You don't in Orange County, you don't have to be like a librarian. In some counties, a teacher can't carry, right? Because they don't want that. But an administrator, a librarian, a maintenance guy, right? He could carry. But they don't want the teacher to carry. Now in Orange County, teachers can carry, right? Right?
Okay.
So go through the Guardian program, and that is done through the Orange County Sheriff's Office.
Okay, and what's involved with going to the
But you're
Guardian?
not a sworn peace officer. You're just a guardian. Basically,
No,
it's
we have one job, and that is to stop an active shooter.
right. Okay.
We have no law enforcement powers at all,
So
right?
if fight
Like,
breaks out, you just got to stand there and watch it.
no, well, no, we do intervene, like, but that's on us, right? That's on us.
I heaven
Um,
forbid your gun pops out.
well, no, I don't. Right, and our guardians don't, because I'm not inserting a weapon into a skirmish, right?
Right.
So I don't.
Right.
But if you are if it's another teacher or whatever, they'll try to separate them, because we don't want to have to dial 911 every time I fight. But I'll be honest with you, we have this policy at Workforce Academy. If you fight, we ask you to leave. I don't care if you started it, if you ended, if you just threw a one punch, or if you threw 20. I'm going to ask your mom to come and get you, right? It's part of that whole being a charter school thing, our school of choice. So we haven't had a fight in 2 years, because everybody knows, like, if you swing, you're gone and you've lost this opportunity, right? So we have that. So a
Did you guys
guardian,
have that at Lee also, if I recall correctly?
no, Miss Valentino went through that whole referral thing where you may go to like a positive pathways type place for 60 days or whatever, but then you'd be able to come back.
Okay. Okay.
With us, no, you're just out.
One and done.
Yeah, yeah.
On,
Sorry,
Even if you didn't start it,
yeah,
you
it
were
doesn't matter.
defending yourself. Doesn't
Yeah, I
matter.
don't want you. No, because when does defending you stop? Right? When
Right.
does it stop?
Right.
Right.
I get it.
So
Do you deal with any rival gangs hanging out and they want to fight or
no, we have gotten to that point where our space is, and I hate to say it like this, is kind of, we're an island, because we have all 22 high schools. At this point, I have a kid from just about every high school in Orange County on my campus.
really?
And so they learn to get along. And man, the jocks kind of it's almost like self-segregation. The jocks find each other, the video game players find each other,
Right.
the nerdy kids find each other, the hood rats find each other, right? It goes they find themselves in the lunchroom, because we only have one lunch, right? So everybody just kind of finds their spot. It works out, and it does work out. So the Guardian program, it came after Marjorie Stoneman Douglas, and so it went through the legislature, and then it became a county by county. You could choose, right? And it is funded by the state. So it's kind of cool. I carry a weapon that the state bought me, right? So I carry a Glock that the state of Florida bought for me. So it's kind of cool. But we check in every day, right? We have safe school meetings. I had one today. We talk about self, because mental health has become a super I want to say that education and graduation rate is number one, but then school safety and mental health is number two. And we really want to start making sure our kids are safe, because look what happened today in Georgia, right?
Right.
So this is why we go through a metal detector every day. what do I find? Bic lighters and vapes, right? I don't. Ever since, and we've done that ever since, Lorianne had that gun, right? So ever since then, we have started the program that no, we're going through a metal detector every day. Have we found anything since that day? No, and that's been years ago.
Yeah.
But it's super important, and the kids know that we are a safe space because nobody tries to bring anything in, right? Like I have a policy that is just mine that I think maybe Orange County might make them crazy, but I don't care. My kids ride a Lynx bus, right? And some of our young ladies, they carry the little pepper spray because they ride the Lynx bus.
Sure.
And so when they check in the morning, they hand it to me. Coach, here's my pepper spray. I put it in a little Ziploc bag with their name on it. And when they leave in the afternoon, I give it right back to them, right? And that way they can get on the Lynx bus with their pepper spray and they feel safe. Because I want my job, I really feel my job at the school is to make sure my teachers and my kids go home safe every day because I want to go home at the end of the day. So I want to make sure they go home at the end of the day. So school safety to me is so important. You know, there's so many little things that take your time during the day. You know that you still have that same principle where 20% of the knuckleheads take up 80% of your time. But for the most part, it's silly things like get off your cell phone, right? Quit tick-tocking in the middle of biology class, little stupid things.
Now, do
It's
you guys let them keep their phones? Because I remember at a Lee you couldn't have your phone.
No, so here's what we do, and thanks for asking, because this is new to Orange County. So we have a box, right, like a phone box, and so when the kids come in, it's clear. The box is clear. You put your phone in the box and you lock it, and you get to keep the key. It breaks up that separation anxiety, right? Because
Right.
they can still hold the key,
Right.
and
Right.
then the box is clear, so they can still look and see it. Because our classrooms are small. We only got about 18 to 20 kids in a class. So they can look up there at the front of the room and still see their phone in the box. So it breaks up that separation anxiety. Then, just before the bell rings, the teacher says, "Hey, go get your phones out of jail." And they go get their phone and they go to the next class and they lock it up, right? Then now this is where we differ from Orange County Public Schools. At lunchtime, I allow you to have your phone. I don't care. Text your girlfriend, call your mom. I don't care. Right? Do whatever. But here's what I found. Even though we allow now our kids to have it at lunchtime, they're still using lunchtime to be social with each other in the room.
Hmm.
When they had the phones all the time, without locking them up, when they would go to lunch, they would be sitting at a table full of kids, but they would still be, all right here, texting, watching videos, doing whatever. But now that their phones are locked up, they're starting to communicate with their table mates. They've got that self-segregation thing going on where the jocks are over here talking about college football and the computer game kids are over here, and then the other kids are over here, and they're actually talking with each other, and they're not just face down into their phones. So I and we're only
That's
four
pretty
weeks
good.
we're only 4 weeks in, and I'm already seeing the difference. So I
That's great.
Yeah.
I'm just praising God that the kids are doing the right thing. So
So how do we get more guardians in Florida?
it's voluntary, right?
Is
So
it a tough course?
actually, do you know we have to shoot better than a police officer? We're held to a different standard. So we have to shoot the pistol course, and we have to shoot at an accuracy of 85%. To be a law enforcement officer, you have to shoot at 80. So they hold us to a different standard because we are constantly carrying a weapon on a school campus, right? So they hold us to a different standard. So at the beginning, you work on scenarios. You do a little bit of what you're allowed to do and what you're not allowed to do, like like bag searches and things like that, to make sure you're not violating any rights. But a lot of it is out on the pistol course, just becoming, because a lot of these people are teachers. They've never really shot before.
Right.
So now they're learning to shoot, and they run you through, it's sort of like the competitions that you see, where you're moving between barrels, you're in different scenarios where there's shoot, don't shoot. We went to Valencia College, where you shoot the video now, where it's all interactive, and it's a laser. You're shooting a laser. So that's
Have
and
you
make
been
sure you
to
don't shoot the kid.
have you been to the place up in Sanford called Decision Tactical?
No, but I just learned about it from the Orange County,
They go
because we
practice
have.
there. It's so oh,
Zach's
Because
got a video of it. He's
it's
been
so fun. Yeah, they told everybody anybody needs a door kicker, they should bring me.
that
Because
a job.
you get to kick down doors. You have real life scenarios. Now, the scenario I was in was a domestic violence, but they have a mall situation. I think they're building. I don't know if they have a school, but they have all. It used to be the movie theater there in Sanford at the mall.
Oh, I know exactly where that is. I did not know
You
that was
use
that.
the guns you use are Glocks,
Yep,
but they're all CO2.
right.
But they
So
they
it gives
recoil.
you
They
it gives you
recoil.
the
Yeah.
snap.
Eh, Man, it was so much fun. I mean, it was the
we all
training is
gotta
awesome.
go.
Yeah, we
We
got to
all
go, Coach. Let's go.
Yeah,
gotta go.
yeah, it would be fun. Let's go.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
I had a blast. And you do. There's a competition where you go through and you shoot targets, and you go through like they have these bags hanging from the ceiling that are supposed to be like people. You got to get them out of the way and move through the crowd, but
Wow.
always having full gun control the whole time.
Yeah.
And finger,
Yeah.
obviously you got to know where your
Finger
finger is.
discipline.
Yep.
Yep.
And then you go into the scenario. We happen to pick the domestic violence one, and you have to
That's
give
tough.
commands. We only had one guy talk the one guy down. The guy actually put the knife down. I capped the guy. I didn't have time to argue with him. I just shot him. I don't have time for that
That's the
nonsense.
police officer in you, though. Hey, look, I don't have time to deal with
I ain't
you.
got time for your nonsense. And no, none of us, the guys I went with, none of us. There was a dog that they had behind. It's a fake dog. It's a video, obviously, but it's bark. It's supposed to be a distraction, but some people do actually shoot the dog. And I'm like, did anybody shoot the dog? They're like, no, nobody on your team shot the dog. I was like, good,
Yeah,
because I will
right?
shoot
Don't
you.
shoot the dog.
Don't
Right.
shoot the
Absolutely.
dog.
See, that's where I am. Don't
Don't.
And
shoot the
I mean,
dog.
it was cool. I had a young guy with me, and I was kind of being a TO to him, and I kept calling him Boot, and trying to get him through there with his head on straight. But it was a good time. I mean, and if you go, we should go. But you should bring
Yeah,
anybody
absolutely.
who's a guardian. So, what is the difference? Why doesn't your school have an SRO? Why do you need a guardian? Why can't you get an SRO?
Do you know the bottom line is the bottom line? Because we're a charter school,
Right.
we actually have to cover that cost out of our budget. And right now it's about $70 an hour.
Well, I
Um,
understand Lorianne's
so I
school, they
would
can get
rather
an
pay my
SRO too.
teachers and then volunteer to do the job myself. And rather because right now I have a tutor, right? I have a paid tutor that is on there to help my kids pass tests, and I would rather pay them and carry the weapon myself than have to have a SRO on my campus. I'll continue to take my volunteers, right? Whoever wants to go through the program. We have three. So we
Does
have
Florida pay for the program, or do you have to pay for it?
No,
no,
it comes directly
actually
out of his budget.
No, 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 no. For the Guardian program.
the Guardian program is paid through that Coach Aaron Feist it was a Florida statute. So the Florida pays for us, pays Orange County Sheriff's Office for us to go through. Now, if I worked for say a security company, it doesn't cover that. But
Right.
if I am a school employee, then the state of Florida pays for that training.
So are there schools that actually hire security companies as guardians?
Yes.
Absolutely. It's a
Okay.
it's a huge growing business.
Okay.
Huge.
Okay.
And
Okay.
actually, I think there should be some lobbying done that every school get funded to
Oh,
have.
Well, but
man, I love you.
how many schools now this is something we should probably figure out, but how many schools out there have SROs rather than the guardian? So
Well, I
they
know
wouldn't
for a
even
fact one of my kids' schools, they're both charter schools. One of them has an SRO, and one of them cut the funding out this year. And he was very popular amongst the kids. And I think it was a terrible decision. But like you
Yep.
said, you've got to come to that conclusion. The administrators have to come to that conclusion.
because
Where
like you said, coach, it's the bottom line.
It's the
right,
bottom line. Yeah.
So
but
if somebody wanted to become an
he would
SRO
bump knuckles
for
with
a
the kids
school,
every morning, and the kids loved them, and it was an important position. They made the decision, and they make a lot of good decisions, and I'm sure that was the right decision as far as funding goes. But the state should fund it, should have funded it,
yeah,
should
yeah.
fund all schools.
Well, and I see, I agree with you 100%, right? I think because who are my kids? My kids are Orange County Public School students, right? I'm not a private school. I'm not even selective, right? If you choose to come to my school, I'm going to take you and try to fix you. I'm going to meet you where you are, and I'm going to try to fix whatever's broke and get you down the road. So, but the way that Orange County is, and I'm not at all speaking ill of Orange County Public Schools. I'm just saying we're not in that funding pool, right? We do pay somewhere between 5 and 7% of the funds that we receive to Orange County Public Schools for administrative and things like that, right? So
Do you fall under Orange County?
technically, no, because I have to pay my own teachers, and we are not in the Florida retirement system. We are so we do follow a lot of the same policies because it's easier to say, look, we follow their policies, so it kind of legally it helps us. But for the most part, no, we have to pay our own bills and make our own way.
Okay, and that's how that was how Ali was, wasn't it?
Yeah, because you have to recruit your own students. Like
Yeah.
I don't have a middle school that's going to dump into me at the end of the year, right?
Right,
Right.
you have to. I saw that direct mailing.
I have to do, yes, I have to do direct mail. I go out and I visit like the guidance counselors, and I tell them what we do, what the
You need
who
a good
who what.
salesman working for you.
So man, you're probably right. I'm telling you, if my business development officer ever leaves, I'm calling you because man, we need somebody that can mix and mingle with our employers, right? I have a lady who is awesome, and she works with our local businesses, and she tells them what we have, what do we do, and she's the one that sets up these job fairs and does those kind of things for me. But she has dropped the hint already that she's thinking about retiring. So.
So,
You're thinking about it too, though. You've dropped that hint tonight.
Well, I have, but brother, I still got about 4 or 5 years. And
coach
you
ain't
know
ever
what?
gonna
The
We
honest
retire.
need
truth
you. We
is,
got to grow this. We got to grow this thing. We got to
So
grow what
let
you're
me
doing.
ask you. I meant to ask you this earlier. Sorry, it just
okay.
popped in my head. When
Yeah.
you run these job fairs,
Yes,
do you instruct the kids how to dress and how to talk and how to present themselves?
we're already in business casual, right?
And the
Because
employers are okay with that.
yes,
Okay,
because
because a lot of
they
job fairs they expect you to wear, jacket and
right
tie.
now, if they come to us, they already know how our students are going to be.
Okay,
Now,
okay.
if we like if there's an like the governor's job fair that's out at the fairgrounds,
At the
let's just
fairgrounds,
call
yeah.
that one.
Hmm.
Now, sometimes we'll rent a van, right? We will do just like LA did to take these kids to church, right? We'll rent a van, we'll take the kids. Now that's different. Yeah, we will talk about wearing a tie. We also do mock interviews. Look, I have volunteers that'll come in that were like business owners or whatever, and they will come in and sit with our kids and they will do mock interviews with them and to kind of get them used to those tough questions, to kind of get them to get that feel of what it's going to be like. So we do that for this group because a lot of them don't know, right? They've never had a job before, or they're moving up, right? They've had that McDonald's job, but now they're going to FedEx or they're
Right.
going to Amazon.
Right.
And so now there's a different questions to be asked.
And some of them may never even know how to tie a tie or know that you're
No,
supposed to.
I do that every day.
I'm sure you do.
Man, we coach the little things, the tying our tie to make sure. Look, man, put a t-shirt on underneath that thin shirt so you don't look like you got your nipples out, right? You know,
Yeah.
whatever it is, right? We want to make sure that these fellas are looking good, right? Make sure that your belt and your shoes match, right? We want those simple things because I want you to get the job. So I don't want them to have any reason to tell you no, right? No reason. You came in, you smell good, you look good, your shoes and your belt match, your hair is right, and so I don't want any reason to have
You
these
teach them
tell
what their
my
gig
kids
line
no.
is.
Say it again.
You teach them what their gig line is.
Absolutely. Our belt and our shirt
My
and our
shirt, my
pants,
belt, my zipper.
they all got to be straight, right? They all got to
Absolutely.
match.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes, yes.
we have to, man. We have to, because
Because even
somebody
if you go
has
for a
to.
job at Universal or Disney or SeaWorld, they may accept you in khakis and a polo. But if you're the guy with maybe just a shirt and tie on, you don't have to wear a jacket. Florida's, I mean, it's ridiculous to wear a jacket, but I always do. But that's just me. But you're gonna stand out a little more than the kid who showed up
And
with
the
just a
Metallica
polo.
t-shirt,
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, yeah,
absolutely.
yeah.
Yeah,
You know,
absolutely. And that's what that they need to know, right? Because they don't know. And so they need to they have to know that you get one shot to make a first impression, right?
right.
So you have to make that shot count. So I need you to show up. I need you to be you straight. I need you not to be chewing gum or smelling like weed or doing whatever. I need you set, right? And so and that's just super important. And sometimes they go, "Oh, coach, whatever," and then they'll get the job, and they're like, "Dadgummit, you were right, coach." And it's like, well, you don't get to be this old by being stupid, right?
Right.
So you just have to just keep, and you have to keep pouring, right? You just have to keep pouring into them, right? Eventually, that seed's gonna
And
grow, but you got to
those
keep
little
watering.
things, you water them with the little things. There's nothing more successful to me than when I'm interviewing someone and they reach out and they shake my hand, look me in the eye, and say, "Hey, how are you? How you doing?" with a smile, other
Absolutely.
than, "Hey, what's up, man? What's
Yeah.
up?"
Or staring at their shoes.
Right?
Yeah, no.
No,
Yeah, no, no.
if I don't care how much it hurts to do it. Put that smile on your face, shake their hand, and actually act like you're excited to be there. Because if you're
Right.
not, then go home and sit on your mama's couch and be the lump you're going to be.
I make them do research on the company before they go. So um like we're going to the Levi's store. I want you to know what is the best selling brand of Levi's in that Levi's store. I want
Levi's
you
were
to know the
invented in 1883.
501s are the best selling,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
style of pants that they sell, or how long they've been in business, or I want you to know the manager's name. I want you to understand these little things because it's going to be the little things that separate you from everyone else. And if you look like you've done your homework before you got there, man, that may be what pushes you over the edge.
I'm
And
learning something new today.
it's true. I mean, and one of the I mentor a guy who wants to be in the car industry. Lord only knows why, but he
Yeah,
wants to
God
be,
bless them.
right? He loves it. And I tell him, look, don't walk into the manager's office and try and baffle him with knowledge on an engine. Because if you ask me what's under the hood, I'm gonna be like, I don't know. It's a car. Get you from point A to point B to pay your bills so you can keep that car.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
You have to know how to talk the lingo. Why are you here? To make money, to profit the dealership, to profit myself. How are you going to do that? Talk to as many people as I can. Stuff like that. The little things
Absolutely.
that you have to tell them, because then you get the guy who comes in and he's just like, "Oh, I was looking at the Corvette 454. It's got 6 barrel, blah blah." I'm like, "Dude, what are you talking about? I don't care."
Right. I
They're
just
like,
want to
"What's your
sell it.
one of
Right.
the worst question you can ask me?" And it's just me when I was interviewing. Hey man, what's your favorite car? I go, "The one you sell that makes me the most money." No, no, no. But what's your favorite car? All right, next. You obviously don't understand the business. I don't
Yeah.
care. They're all iron sleds. They all are there to make money.
Right.
Just like if you go into, like you said, with Levi's, have a little knowledge, know something about the company. If you walk in and you're just there for a job,
Yeah.
then that's
They'll
all you're
know.
ever going to get,
Yeah.
you know. But if you walk into a Gucci store, know a little history of Gucci. Why do you want it? Well, because it's a cool thing. Well, who cares why it's
Yeah.
cool? What's your demographics you're selling to? Who do you have to know how to talk to? Why do you got to talk to that person? What are they looking for? And stuff like that. And that's what you guys are doing. These kids today, man, it's terrifying. When I was in the restaurant industry for a little while and I'd interview them, I didn't pick a server. Just look, you had to have experience. You got to know how to carry a tray, but I wanted someone who was the bubbly. Yeah, exactly. Trippy, how you carry a tray?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes,
That's it. You
that's
got to
it.
have
He's
that.
got
That's
That's
carpal
it.
the
tunnel from
pub.
carrying
But I'm the
trays.
bubbly guy too, so
You have to be bubbly.
I
You
had
have to be
I hit all the high marks.
right. One of the things that really impresses me when I go into a restaurant, and I would steal a server if I could, if I was still in the business, if you don't have a pad and you remember exactly what everybody ordered and it came out to everybody's where they knew it, and my drink never was empty. Don't walk by 100
Okay.
times and ask me how is everything, because, dude, I'm talking. Just make
Yeah.
sure my stuff is good. You know what
Right.
I'm saying? That's why you're going to get the job and you're going to get the tip. And like I said, it's those little things that come with years of experience and knowledge. I didn't get, like you said, this old from just
Just bumping around. Yeah.
because my
Absolutely.
parents were multimillionaires and left me a ton of money.
Yeah. Whatever.
My parents were school teachers, so we were
Yeah.
rich.
Oh, yeah.
Rich,
Whatever.
and my dad taught accounting, business, and law in high school. He knew I struggled with math and he would bring me home dittos every night. I can still smell those dittos, the old,
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
you know.
Yes.
Yeah, we were rich in dittos, as I used to say. Yes, every kid before the test, we'd all
Yeah. Somebody said, if you smell these really hard, it gives you a little buzz.
you get a buzz. You get a little a little
Liar.
a little buzz before the test. Well, hey, listen, coach, I don't want to keep you up all night. I know you got to work tomorrow.
but we got to do this again, Coach.
Yo,
Here's what I think. The next time we're going to do it, I want to get LA on, because you
Yes,
guys will get some good banter with the
we
education
got to
going
set
back
that
and
up.
forth.
I think Coach was saying no. Are you in or?
I am in. Y'all, you just look, man, this has been so much fun. I've got to spend the last hour just bragging on my school and
We got to
hopefully
do this again. I love what you guys do. I was reading your website intently just before the show last night, the night before when Zach
He's
told me about
lying. He
you
doesn't know
guys.
how to read.
That's true though. But I was watching the pictures, but intently. But
Intently at pictures.
um, and
All right, our show is called Political No Brainer, so we got to bring up politics a little bit. We didn't talk about the Orange Man or the Sleepy Man, so we're not gonna. But
not today,
what can
but we
we
will
do to filibuster? I like that, Trippy. I used one of your words.
filibuster.
Filibuster this government to get the education to wake the F up, for lack of better words.
um I challenge you guys for this and help me out and maybe you could challenge the government for this. You realize we got a country to stop smoking in a generation. We need to use that same marketing machine to make education cool and important again. Because we let everyone know that smoking kills you. So how can we use that same marketing knowledge to say that education is the key to success? You don't need to have that degree in cave painting, but I need you to understand how to just keep a balance of your business, right? To understand that customer service piece, to understand a little bit about history, that you are a business of one. And everything that you know is a deposit into your business. So that way you understand that why am I learning this poetry, coach? Is because it's a deposit into your business.
Right.
Now, next time you're trying to make a sale and that customer says something about Wadsworth, all of a sudden you can make a connection with him and maybe make a sale. And so, why is that important? And so if we could get our politicians to understand that we're not talking about college anymore, we're talking about education. There is a difference. There is a difference between knowledge and education, and then there's that degree piece. Because I went to college, man. I mean, y'all understand. So, and I don't know. I learned how to give you, 5 pages on a pencil, right? I can tell you, I can give you 5,000 words on why a pencil exists. But does that really help me? No, it doesn't help. But I mean, it does because now I've learned that mental and self-discipline. But I really want kids to know, that somebody's got to teach these kids that being smart is cool. Being able to speak the king's English is okay.
Correct.
You don't have to use slang to be accepted in certain communities. I don't have to use the N word to describe my cousin, my brother, my whatever, right? I can use other words. I can use words that are even more powerful. I can and I do that through education, right? I do that by understanding that words are powerful, words have meaning, and that I need to, Mr. Senator, I need the funding in the advertisement world to let everyone know that education is cool and be nice to the smart kid because you're probably going to be working for him. So,
Right.
so you just it's just that easy, right?
100%.
We've got our
So,
work cut out for us.
so
Oh,
hey,
absolutely,
we
dude. I just got. That's my 100-year plan. Are you kidding? I
I
won't be here
agree.
to see
That's my
it.
100-year plan, sir.
so we can start a new campaign called Mega, Make Education Great Again.
Yeah, absolutely. If
I
that's what
like
you
it.
want,
I knew
you
you
know,
would.
it's funny because I'm a libertarian, y'all, right? I'm not sure the government. I think we could handle our own stuff if they would just let us, right? I think people would treat each other okay if we didn't have if we just were given the opportunity, right? I have not given up on the human spirit. I really think that we will be good to each other if allowed to. Sure, there's going to be those people who are always going to try to take advantage. But I really think that maybe they are the minority because there are still a ton of good people left out there. And
Right.
there's still a ton of good people that want to help people and want to do the right thing and will if they're allowed to, right? If they're because we got to get out of that no good deed goes unpunished foolishness, right? We have got to make a way somewhere.
I
So
agree
I can tell you,
100%.
my experience in the restaurant is like I said, 25 locations over the course of 23 years. I met
you're a saint,
2,500
sir.
2,500 great kids. Nowadays, I call them the Anthony Bourdain kids. He said there's these misfits that just get together in a restaurant.
Yep.
They put together a business and deliver on that business and deliver to those customers. They're all great kids and they all have huge potential. There's not a single bad kid in the bunch that I've ever met in all the years I've done this. And I have complete faith that the more we invest in them, the better America will be.
Well,
Absolutely.
I always say there's no such thing as bad kids, there's bad parenting, just like
Right.
there's
But
no such
even
thing as bad
even just
dogs, there's
knowing
bad
those kids,
owners.
knowing those kids, knowing how hard they work, knowing how conscientious they are. Every single one of them. There was never a bad kid in the bunch. There were some kids that didn't get the restaurant business. It wasn't for them, but they gave it their all, and
Right.
so
Well, it was funny. John's first job was at McDonald's, and he swore he'd never work in a restaurant again. He,
Yeah.
he learned
that's
his
all right.
lessons. And then there were some of us who we loved it. I mean, I got married and had to move on, but I loved running the bars when I did, the restaurants and all that fun stuff. But yeah, okay. So we have a mission and a plan in place. Now we're just gonna have to implement it. And
You
we're
guys
gonna
let me know.
we're gonna get you back on this
Oh,
show
we're gonna
very,
have you
very
back,
soon.
sir. Absolutely. We,
100%.
So
I appreciate you. We appreciate you for spending.
absolutely. Hey, nothing but love, gentlemen. I appreciate you guys and giving me this opportunity to brag. So, like I said, nothing but love and love and respect. I
Is there a
appreciate that.
website anybody can go to for your school?
Sure. It's www.workforceacademy.com.
It's a
There you
great
go.
site. I tell you, I've been on it a lot the last couple of days. Check it out, just for your own self enrichment. Even if you don't have kids, even if you're not lost in the society today, check it out. Get to be a part. Get to
Go
know it.
through the interwebs and check it
So
out.
interwebs. Yeah, absolutely.
Well, on that note, I see a dog about to attack you there, Tripperoo. We're going to wrap it up, guys. Thank you for listening. We love you. We totally appreciate you guys out there. Like, subscribe, share, tell a friend, tell a phone, tell everybody. And until next time, much love and peace.
Peace and love. Thanks.